All right, hello everyone. Welcome to the workshop. I am so excited for this. So, my name is Kat Gundry-Beck, and I am an Irish photographer, but I am living in Iceland, in Reykjavik. So, I am doing a video from there right now. And I am fully freelance. I'm working as a photographer and videographer, and I'm specializing in lifestyle advertising photography, so commercial photography. And yeah, I went to NUA from 2011 to 2014, and I had a really great time there. So I'm going to be telling you guys a little bit about myself and my journey. And then I'm going to be telling you a little bit about lifestyle advertising, commercial storytelling, what it is. And then I'm going to be telling you some tips and tricks on how photographers make their work really stand out to people. And through that, I'm going to be setting you 3 different tasks. And they're all very short, very easy, 5 minutes each. And you do not have to do them, but I would recommend doing them because they're quite fun. So I'm going to start off with talking a little bit about myself and my journey. So this is one of my photographs in Iceland. And yeah, so after I graduated from Norwich University of the Arts, I started assisting photographers in London. So I was working with these photographers on big sets, and I learned so much doing that. And you learn not only about how the photographers work, but also how the industry works. And then I just had this really random dream to move to Norway. So I decided to do that. I just kind of rocked up there with no real plan, no connections. And I contacted an ad agency, and luckily they gave me a job as an in-house photographer. And then I moved up to northern Norway because I really wanted to see the northern lights, the aurora borealis. And someone told me that I should become a northern lights tour guide, which I did not think was a real job until I started doing it. So basically my job was to teach people how to photograph the northern lights. So it meant that every night I was meeting people from all over the world and just showing them these techniques and tricks on how to photograph the aurora borealis. So while that was really, really fun, I did that for a couple of winters, and then I really wanted to really focus on commercial work, advertising work. So I decided to move to Reykjavik, Iceland in 2018, and I started off by working with a tour company. So I was their content creator. So I was creating photos and videos for their advertising. And that was a part-time job. So it meant that I had that as my kind of stable job. And then I was also building up my freelance career on the side of that. So it meant that by the time I went fully freelance, about a year later, I had a lot of contacts and a kind of reputation as well in the advertising industry. So yeah, now I'm fully freelance, and I am living proof that it is possible to be a freelance photographer and make a living solely from this. So yeah, if I can do it, you guys can do it. So I really hope today is really inspiring for you. And I hope that you learn some stuff about not only about photography, but these things that I'm teaching you, they can be applied to other mediums as well, like illustration and graphic design. But first, I'm going to talk a little bit about how I started. So I started taking pictures when I was 15, and I was experimenting a lot. I loved reflections, and I was way too scared to shoot other people, even though I really wanted to. So I was taking a lot of self-portraits or selfies. And I was attending a lot of workshops like you guys are on today. So yeah, and I was attending a lot of workshops, and I did some work experiences as well with photographers. And I remember when I was 16, we did this 1 week work experience in a family photo studio. And I just fell in love with it. And that it's ever since that moment that I've known that I wanted to be a photographer. I remember just my eyes lit up, loved it. Another thing I did when I was starting out, and still do today, is looked at photo books and magazines and exhibitions. And that is something I would really, really recommend doing, not only for photography, but for whatever you're interested in. because it's really important that you know the iconic images, you learn from the greats, because there is such an overflow of content these days online. And don't get me wrong, I love Instagram. I think it's a great platform. I've met amazing people through it, but you don't really get the reliability when you're just scrolling through your Explore page. You don't really know what you're looking at. So I would really recommend, if you're interested in fashion photography, look at Annie Leibovitz, read Vogue. And Annabelle and Tom will hopefully put in the chat box a list of photographers and awards and stuff that I've made. So you do not have to remember the names that I'm saying right now. But if you're interested in wildlife photography, you could look up the International Wildlife Photographer of the Year Awards, and that is just such high-class, top-of-the-game wildlife photography. If you are interested in street photography, look at Robert Duano. He is just one of the classics, one of the most iconic photographers. So it's things like that where you're not really relying as much on just sifting through the content online, not really knowing what you're looking at, but looking at things like, National Geographic. Because if you learn from the people that are at the top of their game, then you're going to be inspired by that in your work. And then that means that you'll be creating much higher quality work. I also wanted to say quickly that Instagram is not everything. A lot of people think that, if I'm a photographer, I'm nothing until I have 1 million followers. That is not true. That is absolutely not true. It is an app that just, gets people to crave validation, and you can be an amazing photographer, illustrator, fashion designer. You do not need a big following on Instagram to be successful, okay? So this is some more photos that I took when I was a teenager. And these are actually portfolio pieces that I took when I was applying to university. So I took these with me when I had my university interview. And the bottom two pictures here are from a workshop that I did in Ireland when I was 16. And one of the things that the tutor said to me that has really stuck with me is, when you're photographing and you think you've gotten the shot, 5 more minutes, just shoot for 5 more minutes, take a few more shots. And that's something that I even just do today, because you never know what you're gonna get in those few minutes. So when you think you've gotten the shot, keep going. Unless, the only time that I would say to not do this is if you're shooting on a frozen lake in the middle of Iceland and your model is in a tiny dress and she's freezing and it's minus 15 degrees. That's the only time that I would say maybe don't shoot for another 5 minutes, because you'll have a very annoyed model. All right, so then I went to NUA. And I loved my time there so much. And just studying photography was incredible. I learned so much, not only about photography, but about other mediums as well, because I was suddenly just surrounded by people who were into photography or graphic design or film. And, not only was I able to kind of make friends with them and have these creative discussions, but I was also able to collaborate with them. So this one on the bottom left here, this was a collaboration with a textile student. And you can see I started becoming much less scared of photographing people because practice makes perfect. It's really nerve-wracking to ask people in the beginning, hey, can I take some photos of you? But the more I practiced, I can do it today without feeling an inch of nerves. Honestly, it really is practice makes perfect. Another thing I loved about studying photography in university was the technical skills that I learned. So, there are a lot of self-taught photographers out there, and that is totally fine. We all have our own journey. But personally, I am so glad that I studied, because I have these technical skills now that have really set me apart from other photographers. So for instance, we learned how to use the studio. And now, some of my photographer friends, they've been photographers for 10 years, but they don't know how to use studio lights. They only know how to shoot outdoors. And when a client asks them to do a studio shoot, they have to hire me to come and help them. So yeah, that was something that really helped me when I was studying. Also, I really learned how to create a photographic style. So I spent a lot of time building my visual identity. And the briefs and the tutors and the other students really helped me to do that. And I remember this one assignment in particular in year 2, where we had to create a series of images that all had a similar feel. So I chose bright and minimal and dreamlike and pastel colors. And this was the brief from year 2. This is what I created. And then if you compare that to some of my more recent work from today, there's a lot of similarities here. So yeah, you can really see the color palette, the dreamlike, everything is quite similar, but I've grown a lot. So this is some recent personal work that I did. And personal work is work that you don't create for a client. You're not getting paid to create this work, but it's something that you just do mostly for fun because it's really good for the soul. I don't know if you've ever had that feeling when you take a picture or make an artwork that you're proud of, and it's just you get this rush and this sense of pride. And for me, it's the best feeling in the world. And so there's that reason for doing personal work, and also because it really influences the jobs that you can get. So for me, when I'm pitching to clients, I show them this work and I show them this and say, hey, this is what I can create. Do you want me to create something similar for you? So it's really helpful to kind of think about who would I like to work with and look at their advertising and then maybe get inspired by that and start to create stuff that's similar to that. So for instance, if I was, really dreaming of working with a dresses company, I could show them these images and say, hey, do you want me to create something similar for you? Whereas if I wanted to shoot for, say, Nike, maybe these images would not really resonate with their advertising. So if I really wanted to shoot with them, what I could do is look at their social media, see something that's quite similar, and then create something that just kind of is inspired by that, and then approach Nike and say, hey, I created this. I can create a similar thing for you. So yes, very important. But I wanted to talk a little bit next about lifestyle advertising. So what is lifestyle advertising or commercial photography? So lifestyle advertising is about creating images that help to tell a story, to help sell a product or a service. So it's about creating these story images. It's not about something where you're just, taking a picture of a bottle of Coke against a white background and saying, this tastes good, buy it. It's not about that. It is about creating this story that inspires people, that makes them want to engage with something. And it also creates this brand recognition or brand awareness for the company. So that means that if you see an advert, then you start to recognize that product or that service. And when you start to recognize something, then you start to trust it. And when you start to trust something, then you're much more likely to buy it. So for instance, if I had seen a really great ad for, say, naked bars, if I see a great ad for those and I go into a shop and I want a energy bar and I see a bunch of naked bars and then I see a bunch of other energy bars that I've never heard of before, I'm much more likely to buy the naked bar just because it triggers something in your brain that's like, oh, hey, I might want to buy this. So these are some images I took, and the left two are for a company called Norwich, which is a little bit like Uber Eats food delivery. And, we wanted to create these kind of fun stories, being delivered food in kind of unusual places in Reykjavik. So, the one on the left is they are dipping their feet into a hot water foot bath and they're just having a great time and they've ordered some pizza. Then the one in the middle, the guy is sitting out in a snowstorm and he's thinking, hey, do you know what'd be great right now? Some noodles. And then he gets his noodles delivered and look how happy he is. Doesn't that make you want to order some noodles? And then the one on the right is for a company called Feed the Viking. I'll come back to this one in more detail later, but the idea is that you're eating this lamb stew and you're in the wilderness and you're having a great time. And then you don't always have to have people in the shot with showing their faces. And you can always just have a sense of a person in it. You don't even have to have any sort of person in it at all to tell a story. But these two on the left are for Collab, which is an energy drink. And the one on the far left was, we were during a 2-day shoot, very full on shoot. And this was at 1:00 in the morning because it does not get dark here in the summer. We just have this midnight sun. And your brain gets very creative at 1 a.m. So we created this kind of fun, hand popping out of the flowers shot. And then in the middle, you've got this energy drink with a barbecue. So the story is kind of, oh, while you're having a barbecue, why not have this energy drink? And then on the right, we have a volcanic eruption at the moment in Iceland. It is the best thing that's ever happened to me. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. But I was shooting for the snacks company. And the story is kind of, oh, if you're hiking to the volcano, why not take this snack with you because it's high in protein and it's light to carry. And funny story about this one is that originally I just wanted the product and the volcano in the background. So I wanted it sitting on the ground. But it was so windy that day that it would not stand up. It wouldn't stand up, whatever I did. And so I just got very frustrated and I just picked it up in my hand and photographed it like that. So that just, is an example of you don't need a big team of people. You don't need a big production to do these things. You can literally just hold something in your own hand and photograph it, and then it creates an advert. And these are for the same snacks company. We wanted to do this kind of fun studio shoot where, we incorporated these bright colors to give this sense of kind of playfulness and fun to the snacks. Here's some lifestyle advertising by other photographers. So these ones are by MasterCard, and they have really great stories in their image of just, sharing your second love with your first, priceless. So it's these stories of just going out on a date and having a really great time, and MasterCard just makes it easier. And they don't even have the product in the shot here. They just have their logo. And then on the top right, you've got this Dasani sparkling white peach drink and a story of people enjoying a barbecue, having a great time together. And then on the bottom right, you've got this ad for Samsonite luggage, and she's just looking really cool on her skateboard. And, I want to look cool like her, so I'm going to buy this backpack, So that is what lifestyle advertising is. It's just these stories that make you want to live that lifestyle or buy that product or have a good time, that kind of thing. So I'm going to be talking about a few different techniques that photographers use to make their photographs more eye-catching to viewers. So this will hopefully help you, not only in lifestyle advertising, but also other kinds of photography, maybe illustration, graphic design. So you can really apply these things. And I'm going to be talking about 3 different elements. And I'm going to be talking about 3 different elements. And we're going to be doing tasks based on those. So listen carefully. Okay, so the first one that I wanted to talk about is light and composition. So focal point. This is the thing that we want to focus on in the image. This is what we call it. So that could either be the product, that could be the person in the image, it might be, if it's a landscape, it might be a waterfall, that kind of thing. And a really great thing to do is to make it brighter than the rest of the image, and it can be framed by something dark behind it. Because our eyes scientifically go to the brightest thing in the image first. And then so, you might want to focus on the product first, and then your eye goes to the rest of the picture. Another thing is rule of thirds. So, you have this checkerboard here, this kind of noughts and crosses game. And the trick is not to place the focal point of the image in the middle of the image. You can do that. Every rule is there to be broken. And I do that quite often. But rule of thirds is something that's really pleasing to the eye, to viewers. So for instance, if you've got a vertical product like this can here, placing it on the vertical line is just really pleasing to the eye. Same with on the horizontal lines here. Or if you've got a portrait, you could place one of the eyes just here, because where the 2 lines meet is also a really great place to have your focal point. So the thing with these techniques is that it's not about, you look at an image and you see these things and then it's a good image. A normal person might not look at an ad and think, oh, they've placed it in the left corner here and I can see that it's the brightest part of the image. People won't think that, but they will know that it's a good image. And they might not know why it's a good image, but they'll know that it's a good image. And that's what helps sell a product or win an award or have a great exhibition. So when you learn these techniques and you're able to recognize them in other photographs and apply them to your own photographs or artworks, then that means that you're able to create these things that will stand out a lot more. And also it means that, you know, when you are doing this for a long time, when you've practiced a lot, you stop thinking about these things, but you're still doing them. So you might be in the flow of taking photos or doing an artwork, and you're just in the flow doing it and having a great time, and it might be only afterwards you see, oh, I see what I was doing there. Yeah, I placed that in the left side. Yeah, great, okay. So here are some other examples of what I've been talking about. So this one on the left is by a photographer, Sam Robinson. And I did an internship with him when I first graduated and learned so much. And this is an ad that he did for Bose speakers. And you can barely even see the speakers in the shot here, because it's not about, you know, oh, there's 13-hour battery life and it's waterproof. It's not about that. It's about the story that he's telling here of friends out and about, and they're having a great time in the summer. And the first thing that you look at here, subconsciously, is the sun, because it's the brightest part. So you look at that, and then your eye is immediately drawn by the sun rays to this guy jumping into the water, because there's a sense of movement. It really draws you in. And then you're thinking about the shot and not about the actual speakers. And then this shot that I did for Collab, I was making it the brightest part of the image by framing it by a darker background here. And then I was also using the rule of thirds to put it right where the two lines meet here. And then same with the Sam Robinson image, he's got it right on the vertical line here. So that takes us to our first task. So I want you to get your workstation ready to go. You can start right now while I'm talking. If you don't want to do the task, that's okay. I will be also doing the task, and you can also pop in some questions to the chat box if you have any questions or comments, then Annabelle will jump in and read those out. So basically what I want you to do is take some photos with your phone, and then you can use this QR code here in the corner. So open up the camera on your phone and point it at the QR code, and then this prompt will come up at the top of your phone saying, do you want to open this link in, say, Safari? And then you open it up and you can use the little, the instructions there to upload your pictures. And then I'll be going through them, I'll be looking at all of them, and I won't have time to comment on all of them today, but I will be picking out a few and talking about them. So I want you to set up your workstation. It can be a roll of paper or bed sheet or wall as a backdrop. And I want you to grab a product to advertise. So that could be a soft drink, it could be a bag of sweets or a perfume bottle, anything that you want to. And I want you to create an image that makes it the brightest part of the image. So maybe don't choose a black perfume bottle for this if you want to choose a lighter colored object. And I want you to create the image. Either it can just be the object by itself, it could have a hand holding it or with a person in it. So we're not going to show faces today because of safeguarding. So we're not going to show faces, but you can always show your hands, you can show your feet, you can show your dog, anything you want to show in it, or just the item by itself. And I want you to make that bit quite bright. So I want you to think about where the light is coming from. Is it coming from the window? If it is, if you are placing your product in the windowsill and shooting out against the window, then that's going to make the product quite dark because it's being lit by behind. But if you are in between the window and the product, then that means that your window light is going to be hitting the product quite nicely, and then you can take the photo. Or you can use a lamp or a head torch. I'll be using a head torch. And yeah, and then I want you to think of the rule of thirds. So for this brief, I want you to not place your item in the center of the image. So I want you to use the rule of thirds to put it on the lines or to the side of the image. And then use the QR code, and I want you to put task 1 in the subject line. So just write task 1 in the subject line so we know what it's for. All right, so when I am doing my setup, I'm going to be on video doing this. And what you can do is you can drag to make my screen a little bit bigger. If you want to focus on the task, I'm going to leave this up so you don't have to remember it all. Or you can drag my video to be a bit bigger if you want to watch what I'm doing. And then, yeah, if you have any questions so far or comments, just pop them in the chat box. I'm so excited to see what you guys come up with. All right, so I'm gonna start off by coming over here a bit, and I'm gonna make my video show a little bit more. All right, so I'm gonna move the table back a bit. So I've got this background here, and it's literally just from a costume. It's a cape, and I've set it up where I've got a chair behind the table, and yeah, so I've set it up like that. And what I'm gonna be advertising today is dairy milk, because you cannot get this dairy milk Oreo in Iceland. So it's a very, very precious item to me. And I want it to stand up. So if I place it like that, it just kind of falls down a bit. So I want to stand it up, and I'm going to use this lava rock here that was still hot when I picked it up from the volcano. And now it's working perfectly as a prop. So, all right, so you can see this is up here. And I'm gonna get out my phone and photograph it. If you want to, take some photos where you're in it, so just your hands or whatever in it, then what you can do is you can use the timer on your phone. So you can see here that there's, when I do this, if I click up here, there we go. And then I can click this clock button here, and then I can choose 3 seconds, and then that means I will have a timer on my phone. Okay, so I'm gonna take a quick picture here using rule of thirds. So I'm gonna place it in the bottom. But it is quite dark on the background. It's not really standing out. So then what I'm gonna do is I'm going to be using this head torch here, and I'm going to be just placing it on the subject so you can really see it just brightens up the subject. And then I'm going to be holding it while I take my next photograph. So I'm going to take the timer off because we don't need 3 seconds here. All right. And
how long have they got for this task, Kat?
Oh, sorry. You've got 5 minutes for it.
Let's say 4 minutes now. That's all right.
So you've got a few minutes left. Yeah, so we're doing it quite quickly, just so you don't have to, think too much about it. It's quite simple. So I just want you to grab your object, go. And yeah, so we've got a few more minutes for this. And whenever you've got your image ready to go, you don't need to edit it. Just, shoot it on your phone and whack it straight onto Padlet there, and then we will go through it. So yeah, whenever you're ready, just put it onto Padlet. Okay, and yeah, if anyone has any questions or comments, all good to put it in the box. So yeah, so I'm gonna do the same where I'm gonna whack it up onto Padlet so you can see the images that I've taken just now. So I'm opening up the camera, I'm placing it at the thing, and then opening up in Safari. And then you can see there's this little plus at the bottom here. So you do this little plus, and then I'm clicking this image here and photo library, and then I'm choosing the photo that I just took. So, okay, and then subject, write something fantastic. So I'm gonna write task 1 so that we know what we're doing. And then you just, I don't know if you can see, but you just click publish here, and then that sends it up. Oh, we've already got a few really cool ones. Awesome. Oh, this is so cool to see them rolling in. This is so cool. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna come away from my little setup for a second, and I'm going to switch my screen over to Padlet. All right. Okay. Oh, we've already got some really awesome ones here. Oh, this is so cool. Okay, so wow, I am loving these. I am loving these. These are so cool. You guys have used the rule of thirds so well. So well. And I'm loving these backdrops as well. These are really, really cool. I'm actually blown away. I'm really, really impressed right now. These are so cool. Okay, so
Kat, sorry to interrupt. Can you just explain how to upload the photo again, as we just had a message asking about that?
Of course. So if you want to look at my video, I'm going to show you. So what I'm doing here is okay, now that I am doing this, you can see there is this QR code right here. So I want you to go up to the QR code with your phone. You don't have to press take a picture, you just go onto the QR code and then press open Padlet.com in Safari, and then it will open it like this. So it'll start showing some of the images. And then on the bottom right, sorry, it's all backwards here, but on the bottom right, there is this little pink plus sign. So plus, and then there's a green picture here, which is a picture of like just a picture. And so it's the far left one. And then you click on that, and then you get this option, photo library. So when you click photo library, then your photos will come up and you can click on one and say choose, like that. Very hard to do this backwards. Okay, yeah, choose, and then just write something saying task 1, and then you just, on the top right, you'll see a thing saying publish, and then it will put it up there. So yes, hope that helps. If you have any more questions, please do ask. Okay, so I'm gonna go through a few of these images. Oh my God, these are amazing, guys. Wow. Wow. And these are really, really cool how you have lit them up. So this one here, I'm gonna bring this one up. This is really cool how I think you've used a window light or a door light to really, you know, just bounces off the metallic here. So that's really, really cool. It just makes it really like stand out, because that is, when it's a really bright white, that makes it really catch the attention of the eye. So it's awesome. Well done. Little Women, that's a great book. So you've used the rule of thirds really, really well here. So that's really nice. You can see, if you imagine the noughts and crosses board, the Little Women is right where the two lines meet. So that's amazing. Wow, these are awesome. Okay. And then, yeah, this multi-purpose cleaner here, that's awesome. I love the pink background and how it just really makes the white stand out, because if you'd had that on a white background, then it might have just blended in a bit. So having it on the pink background just makes it like, whoa. That's really, really cool. And I love how you've got the hand in there with the tango, because that kind of gives a story of like someone's about to drink the tango. And do you know what? This makes me want to drink tango right now. There's one shop in Iceland that sells tango, and it happens to be near my house, so it's great. So yeah, really nice use of the rule of thirds here as well. This is really, really awesome. These are so cool. Honestly, all of them. I'm really, really impressed. This is really nicely done, where it's quite a light background. So if you hadn't lit up the owl, then it could have blended in a bit, but it hasn't, because you've lit it up. So that looks really, really nice. So it looks like you've maybe used a light from above coming down. And yeah, it just makes it pop. It gives it a bit of a shine. So it means that you're really just drawn to the owl here. And also very nice use of the rule of thirds, if you can see my cursor right here. Really, really nice job, guys. Cool. I wish I could go through all of them and say things, but I just want you all to know that I'm looking at all of them, and I think they are all amazing. Really, really amazing. Loving this plant. Love the blur in there as well. And yeah, really great use of the rule of thirds and how it's quite bright. You've got quite a bright light coming on it. You can see by the harsh shadow here. It's awesome. Really, really great job, guys. Really great job. Love this hand. Okay. I could talk for hours about all of these, but then we would be here all day. So what I'm gonna do is go back to the presentation. Okay. Okay, so really, really awesome. Well done, guys. I hope that you really enjoyed it, and I hope that you are, yeah, I really hope that you're pumped to do the next one. So the next thing that I'm gonna talk about is leading lines and negative space. So this is a photograph that we saw earlier by Ollie Byrne. He is awesome photographer. I've put him in the notes when I was talking about photographers earlier. So leading lines are lines that can draw the viewer to the product or the person, so the focal point. So leading lines are lines like the side of a table or a window, or in this case, the underpass, and everything is leading to her. So for instance, look at these leading lines. Everything is going towards her. So you can see, yeah, even the shadow, everything. So you really want to focus on her face and the bag here. Also, there is a technique called a frame within a frame. So that is a really cool way to create something quite pleasing. So for instance, if you've got, you know, a person standing in a doorway, or you place an object inside another object. For instance, if I get my very precious dairy milk Oreo here and place it, you know, in this notebook, see how it's just kind of framed in there, if you can see my camera. If it's framed in there, it's just really pleasing to the eye. And then I also want to talk about negative space. So negative space is the part of an image with little or no detail. So for instance, that could be sky, it could be a dark or light part of an image, or a blurry part of an image. And the reason why we use negative space is that it creates balance. So it means that when you have a very busy image, you might not know what to look at. But when you have a part that you want the viewer to be really looking at, so maybe the person or the product, the negative space just creates this balance. So for instance, here he's used a lot of sky as a negative space to draw you in. Then there's also a really nice, he's darkened this part here, so you're not distracted by the wood here, you're just looking at her. Negative space is also really, really good for graphic design. So graphic designers will love you if you make photographs that have negative space in them, same with illustration. So it means that it's so easy for them to play with it and to add in their company's logo or some text. So like here, the Samsonite Born to Go. So for them, it was just a piece of cake putting in their logo and tagline. And that then creates a really strong advert. So here's some other examples of negative space and leading lines. So you can see here in this Coca-Cola image, you're really drawn to her face. She's very happy. And the Coca-Cola bottle here. So everything is leading to her, all of these lines. Even the lines of her t-shirt are leading to this. And then it's the same with this picture that I took for the snacks company at the volcano. I was framing it by the lava. So I was framing it there. If it had just been the snow, then it would have been lost in there, you know, because it's a white package. So I framed it against the lava. And then I had these leading lines of a fresh lava flow going towards it. Don't worry, I was at a safe distance when I took this, I promise. And I was wearing a gas mask. And also my hand is leading to the image there. And again, you know, as I was saying earlier, when you learn these techniques and you've practiced them a lot, you stop really thinking about them and they just come to you naturally when you're in the flow photographing. So when I was photographing this, it wasn't really going through my head like, oh, I'm going to create a frame within a frame and then I'm going to have some leading lines. No, I wasn't thinking that at all. I was just creating. And then it's only afterwards, I'm like, oh, I see what I was doing. I see what I was doing. And then I also left some negative space up here for them to put in their logo and tagline. So a lot of space here. And then also it's the same with on the left here with the Coca-Cola. They used blurs. They used a shallow depth of field. And this blurry part, you can see that it's a city in the background and a road, but you can't, you know, if it was in focus, that'd be so distracting. But because it's blurry, they're able to stamp in their logo and their enjoy the feeling tagline, easy to go. All right, so that brings us on to task number 2. Okay, so you can start now, and I'm gonna keep talking. So I want you to add in a second object that leads to the focal point, so the thing we want to advertise. So you can use the same product that you were using before, or you can use a different product, up to you, however you're feeling inspired. And we want you to add in a second object. So that can be, say you're photographing a packet of Maltesers. You know, you could open the bag and have Maltesers leading to the bag, and that will lead you to the ad. Or you can use the lines of a table, the frame of the window in the background, a hand reaching for the product, a foot, anything like that. So I just want you to have leading lines like in these images of cups of tea. And I also want you to have some negative space in the photograph. So that can be a wall or a bit of sky if you want to pop outside, or it can be a blurry part of an image. So you can use portrait mode on your phone if you've got a newer model to create a bit of blur on the phone. I saw someone was doing that earlier. So you're way ahead of me. And yes, I want you to use just any technique that you like. So either it can be, a wall or a blurry part. And I want you to use the QR code again. It's the same one as last time. So if you've already got the tab up, just use that again. But I want you to put task 2 this time in your subject line. And again, I'm going to be doing this task as well. So if you want to just skip the task and just watch me, that's totally fine. And again, if anyone has any questions. So yeah, we're going to take 5 minutes for this. So 20 minutes past 11, I want you to have all of your pictures uploaded to Padlet if you want to show them. Okay, so I'm going to be showing my video. Okay, so I'm going to be changing the background because I love this one, but what I'm going to use instead now, and I'm going to show, here we go, move this back a little bit. Okay, so as you can see, yeah, it's just literally a chair and a table, that's all. And I'm going to be using this picnic blanket. And I'm going to set it up as my background, just hanging it off the chair here. Because this picnic blanket has a lot of really nice leading lines on it. Here we go. All right. And then I'm going to use my trusty lava rock here. Here we go, to prop up the dairy milk. And I'm just using the folds of the fabric and also the lines in the fabric to have a leading line. And I'm bringing back my dairy milk. Okay. Oh, fell over. Okay, so propping up the dairy milk like so. And then what I'm going to do to add in even more leading lines is I'm going to add in the ingredients of the chocolate. So it kind of tells the story of what is in this bar of chocolate. So what it is chocolate and Oreos. So I've got some pieces of chocolate here. They are not dairy milk because my dairy milk is so precious. I didn't want to throw it around the place. But we can pretend it's dairy milk. And yeah, so you can see I've kind of set it up there. And then I've also got some Oreos that I'm going to set up on the other side. So they're just kind of leading to the thing. So leading in here, and then I'm going to get out my phone. And then I'm going to make sure that I have a lot of this space showing here in the photograph because that creates the negative space. So taking that there, you can see. A little more down. So yeah, you can see I'm taking this picture here, and then I'm going to switch it on to portrait mode because that gives it a little bit of a blur in the background. So there we go. Okay, and I'm going to upload. So you've got 3 minutes left if you guys want to start uploading your images whenever you're ready. And I'm going to do the same. So I'm going back onto Padlet, doing the little plus sign, clicking on the photo and choose, and then this time I'm writing task 2 on here, and I'm going to publish it so you can see as well. Yeah,
just one thing to note, Kat, is when you share the Padlet,
yes,
if you just keep refreshing it every couple of seconds, because as more work comes in, we're in the background approving it through, so if you just keep refreshing,
awesome,
we'll get some more and even more work.
Ah, that sounds good. That sounds good. I'm so excited to see what you guys are creating. Okay. Okay, so, wow. Oh, wow. These are awesome. All right. Wow. Whoa. These are really, really amazing. Whoa. These are so cool. Again, I'm so impressed. I am so impressed. These are so cool. Okay, I love everything you guys are doing. Really, really adding in lines. These leading lines are amazing, and these blurs. So cool. Okay, I'm gonna talk about this one first. I think this is amazing. This really tells a story. And I love the book in the shot. That's really, really cool. And then you've used this bit of blur in the background to create negative space. You could easily put like Paper Chase's logo on there, you know? And a tagline of, you know, why not buy a beautiful back to school notebook? And then you've also used your legs as these leading lines. Amazing, really, really cool. Gonna refresh. Wow, these are awesome. These are so cool. Oh, someone's gone outside. It's a sunny day. I'm very jealous. It's not sunny here. Okay, this is really cool. You've got the leading line of the surface here, so that's really cool. And also the leaning lines of the trees going on here, that's amazing. That's really, really cool. And then everything just kind of like leads you in to this. And it's also really nicely lit by the sun. And yeah, and very nice blurry background. You could put a thing for water stones or something here easily in a lot of text. It's really, really cool. Really cool. And I'm loving this body spray. This is awesome. You've taken stripes. That is really clever. Really, really clever. You've taken something with stripes that like everything is just leading to it. Even the way you folded it, everything is leading to this body spray. It's awesome. And the lines of the skirting board and everything is just leading to the spray. And also again with the blurriness, easy to add in some text there. That's really, really cool. Really awesome. Loving this one with the hand holding it, the fingers, kind of touching it. That makes everything just lead you to the bottle there. And also the lines of the apartment building. And it's kind of framed within a frame there with the tree in the background. So that's really, really cool. And yeah, just really awesome. Love it. And yeah, blurry background, perfect for text. This one's got a nice bit of sky, which has got a nice bit of text, opportunity for text in there. That's really cool. And very nice leading lines of the window pane. God, these are really awesome, guys. Seriously, I am so impressed. I am so impressed. I'm so excited. Okay, cool. Oh, this one, yeah, lovely leading lines here. Really, really nice. Really nice. And a nice bit of negative space here for a nice bit of text. Yeah. Okay, again, I wish I could go through all of them. I'm just going to do one last refresh. Yeah, oh, wow. Really cool. Oh, wow, there's so many. Whoa. These are so awesome. These are so awesome. Very cool. I love how you've added in the straws here. That's so clever. Everything is adding, yeah, just like making you go to the gin. And then very nice use of plain background here that you can have a lot of negative space. That is really cool. Loving the plant on the windowsill. Just, yeah, loving all of these. And yeah, wish I could. That's beautiful. Really, really beautiful. And the stripes and everything leading to it. Love it. Okay, yeah, wish I could go through all of them, but let's move on. Okay, so I'm going to come back to the presentation. Okay, so last thing I wanted to talk about is narrative and emotion. So how does this product help consumers live the life that they want to live? How does this product or service help improve your life or have a good time? And there are so many stories that you can tell with images, and that's what I love to create. And we're going to look at these two here, where this first one on the left is for Tiffany's. So this brand, they're not showing you a picture of jewelry and saying, this is a 14-karat gold necklace and it's got a ruby on it and you should buy it. They're not saying that. They're telling you a story that makes you want to buy into their product because of the lifestyle it gives you and the story it tells when you wear Tiffany's. So the story is kind of, they're on a date, the guy is about to give her an amazing gift, and everything about this image just tells luxury and romance and excitement, from the color of her dress, the gold luxury, from her just looking into the camera, inviting you into her world. So you can just look at this image and think, wow, I want to be like that. I should buy some Tiffany's. So, or it could be, if you want to walk into a room and you want to be stared at and you want to seem elegant and successful, then you could wear Tiffany's. And because they've built up this reputation through their advertising through many, many years, they've kind of got this reputation now of, if you wear Tiffany's, you are someone, So they really just buy you into their story. It's a similar deal with Rolex. So Rolex, they don't just sell watches, they sell a lifestyle. So, even though, of course, their watches are lovely and very good quality, the reason why people mostly buy Rolex is because of what it says about them when they buy it. And the reason why they have that is because of their advertising that they've built throughout the years. I know a guy who worked so hard all summer. He's a student. He worked so hard all summer. He was about to start a new job in a law firm. And he saved up like £6,000 to spend on a Rolex just so that he could go into the office, flash his Rolex and say, hey, I know what I'm doing. I'm going to be really successful. I've got a Rolex, It's all about what it says. Or you've got products like Bose speakers, where it's more kind of selling a good time. So, this is the same photographer again, Sam Robinson, as the guy jumping into the water before. And it's from the same campaign. And, the story is, you've just been for a swim with your friends, you're chilling, and what would make this better? Music. Music makes everything better. So they're not saying, these speakers have very good sound quality and they have this kind of spec and this kind of price. It's not saying that. It's saying, use our speakers when you're having fun with your friends. So then you might think, oh, next time I'm having fun with my friends, I should bring along some speakers. So you go to the shop and you start looking at speakers. And of course, you're more drawn to Bose than a speaker you've never heard of. So it's this kind of happy summer, good times with friends vibe. Here's some other ones that we've seen earlier. So I think that MasterCard are, pun intended, the masters of the narrative. And they are just incredible at creating these stories, as I said earlier. And so this kind of story of, you're out on a date, you're having a great time. I want to have a great, easy time. I should get MasterCard. And again, these are just subconscious thoughts. You don't consciously think this when you look at an ad, but it is just something that goes into you. And fun story about MasterCard is that when I arrived in Iceland, there was this massive billboard in the airport in Reykjavik saying, welcome to Iceland from MasterCard. And it was this big picture of the Northern Lights dancing over a fjord saying, experience the nightlife, priceless. Welcome to Iceland. But having flown in from Norway, where I was working as a Northern Lights tour guide, I immediately recognized the fjord, and that fjord is in Norway. So they had a huge picture of Norway saying, welcome to Iceland from MasterCard. So even the big companies get it wrong sometimes. So this picture on the right is from Feed the Viking. So yeah, this was just a story of, you're out and about in the wilderness and you've got this lamb stew to keep you going. Just add hot water and you've got this beautiful stew. And this is a good example of when you need another model and you don't have one, just step in there yourself. Set your camera up on a tripod, put on the timer, run in there yourself. Bang, another model right there. And we also added in the dogs there just because they wouldn't stay away from the stew. No, but we added them in for this kind of sense of like playfulness, relatability. And then I gave them the options of a shot with and a shot without the dogs, and they chose the one with the dogs. So you can just see we're very happy with our stew. I'm looking at the landscape, she's looking at the stew. So it just kind of tells this story. So that brings us on to our third and final task. So again, you can start now. Or you can wait until I finish talking. But I want you to choose an emotion or a story that you'd like to have in your image. And I want you to add something to the image that helps you to tell that story. So an emotion or atmosphere that you could choose from. I've sent you a list here. So there's happy, excited. You could have luxurious, romantic, fancy, that kind of thing. And so you can see the image on the left here on the top. She's got this beautiful teacup and it's very quintessentially British because of the props. So it's got this vintage nostalgic vibe because of what they're using there and the bright lights. And then you've also got this one down the bottom here, which is telling the story of like Sunday morning, you're reading your book. What's good to have when you're reading? Cup of tea. So it just kind of tells that story. Or you could use, bright colors to add in the sense of fun and playfulness. So what I want you to do is pick an emotion or an atmosphere, and when you upload your picture, I want you to put task 3 in there, but I also want you to put in the emotion that you've chosen. So images are complex. You're always going to have many emotions in an image, but I want you to just choose one for this subject and just put it in there in the subject line. So yeah, so while you guys are doing that, you've got 5 minutes. So you've got until 11:34, let's say. And I'm going to, okay, so I'm gonna do, oh yeah, so what I'm gonna do for this one, so I'm gonna do a little costume change. And I'm going to put this on. And I'm gonna set up my thing here. And I'm gonna grab, I have like a little tripod for my phone. So I'm gonna put my phone on this and I'm gonna set up my camera. And I'm gonna set it up like so. And again, if you have any, oh, see the QR code. If you have any questions or anything, just pop them in the chat box. You've got a few more minutes. So I'm gonna place it on this table here. Sorry about the sound, moving this back a bit. And I'm gonna place it on here. So I'm just kind of telling the story of kind of romance and fancy, you know, maybe a little bit like the Tiffany's shot. And I'm not gonna show my face in it, like so. I think I have zoomed in too much. And I'm kind of telling the story of, you know, you've been on this night out and you've had a great time and, you know, you're wearing this beautiful jacket. This is the beauty of photography, is that you can buy things like this from secondhand shops and you know that they will come in handy one day. It's great. Okay, so I'm gonna grab my dairy milk here and I'm also gonna add in a cup of tea because you're kind of having, you know, a piece of chocolate and a cup of tea when you come home from a wonderful night. I know that's what I do. So I'm gonna set the thing on so it has like a 3-second timer. So it allows me to get into position. And yeah, so I'm gonna just press the timer here. And I've got this and a cup of tea. Yeah, so, okay, I'm gonna place it down a little bit more. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually take a piece of the chocolate. This is one I made earlier. So I'm gonna take a piece of the chocolate from another bar and I'm just gonna place it here like this on my lap. And I'm gonna have the piece of chocolate in one hand and the cup in another hand. So it's kind of like I'm about to eat it. Okay, so.
I'm just going to pipe in, Kat. Can we just ask that if you're going to do this task to not have your face in it? We are approving the photos in the background, and this is just for safeguarding reasons because we are recording the session. So like Kat's doing, you could do it from, you know, like she's using her body or their hands, or there's the feet. So anything that doesn't involve your face, that would be great, please.
Yeah, so no faces. You can, yeah, so use any parts of your body if you like. This kind of thing. Okay, let me see. I was not ready for that one, so give it one more try. Okay. Yeah, got the dairy milk in there. Cool. Okay, so then it's less about the dairy milk product, and then it's more about the story. Okay. So I'm gonna have a look if you want to upload yours onto, sorry about sound.
One more thing we just thought of was if you'd like, when you're uploading your photos, if you include not only the task but the emotion or narrative that you're portraying, it'll be easy for us and Kat to see, you know, what theme you've chosen.
Exactly. Yeah, it would be really cool to see if you've chosen like happy or romantic or fun, that kind of thing. So task, I'm saying task 3, luxurious, and publish. Okay, so then I'm gonna go on to Padlet again. Okay, let's see what we've got. I'm gonna refresh. So yeah, if you want to start uploading your pictures and just keep them uploading, these are awesome. Relaxed, love it, love it. Oh, the cat is so cute. And yes, that is a very fun image. These are really, really awesome. Really awesome. Okay, I love it. I love how this one, the hand is just going in there and grabbing, and it just creates this really nice sense. Holiday vibes. Love it. Love it. I miss holidays. No, I really love that. And just the sense of travel. The map in the background is genius, genius, really cool sense of travel there. And yeah, really like it. Okay, loading a few more. Oh, classy. Oh, I love this. Wow, your use of light is incredible here. Whoa, very impressive. Really cool. And I love how the light goes through the perfume bottle and onto the background. Really cool. Yeah, and the hand just grabbing for it. Very classy. Love it. Ah, cozy vibes. Very nice cozy vibes. Really cool. Yeah, love the teddy bear. That's awesome. Love the hand holding this. Really awesome. Cool. Vintage feel with the, yes, with the lamp. Very nice use of prop. Very cool. Gonna refresh. Very cool. Nice and luxurious with the perfume bottle. Really awesome. Very good ad for the perfume. Care, that's really nice. That's so nice with the hand coming in there and just shows this really nice body language of just caring. And also this leaf is like a heart. It's great. Fun and youthful with NYX, that's amazing. I love the colors. The colors are awesome. So not only are the colors in the color, the shadow palette, but they're also in the background as well, and the animal in the back. It's amazing. Really love it. Okay, refresh one more time, and then I'll go back. Yeah, really awesome. Really cool work. Loving all of these. Oh, I forgot these existed. The Marvelous Creations. Oh, this is making me really miss Dairy Milk. No, but this is a really cool example of using the ingredients of it to just kind of create a sense of fun and like, yeah, absolutely love it. Very cool. Very cool. Okay, I'm gonna have to get my mom to send me one of these now. Okay. Oh, I love the cat. That's really cool. Really cool. Wholesome. I love it. It is a very wholesome feel. This is awesome. Very nice use of body language with the hand on the cup. That's really cool. And then this, you're just about to eat the chocolate. That's amazing. Really cool. And this is awesome too. Okay. Again, I would love to talk about all of these, but just know that I've seen them all and I think they are amazing. Just do one last refresh just to see a couple more. And yeah, oh wow, these are awesome. Really impressed, guys. You are all incredible photographers. This is so cool. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to the slide one more time. A few more things to say, and then I will finish up. Okay. So, I love my job so much, as you can probably see by how enthusiastic I am. But I love my job so much. And we've learned all about lifestyle advertising today and commercial photography, storytelling in photography. But why would you ever want to do this to yourself? Why would you want to become this in your career? I mean, there are many reasons why I honestly wake up in the morning so excited to go to work. It's really nerdy, but I do. And there are so many reasons. So when you're a photographer, you can really choose whether you want to work alone or in teams. And if you want to be a landscape photographer and go and sit in the mountains alone for hours waiting for the good light, that's awesome. But if you're like me and you love people, then it's really nice to be able to work in a team and creating something together. So that's one thing I love about lifestyle advertising, is that you build up these teams of people all working together to create the one thing. So I could be working with models and makeup artists and food stylists and creative directors, things like that. I remember assisting on a Adidas shoot once in London, and I couldn't believe how many people were on set. It was about 50 people for 3 days, and 16-hour days. It was so much fun. It was so much fun. Also, the travel opportunities. That is another reason why I love lifestyle advertising. So this picture is one that I took in Egypt because I got a free trip to Egypt just because they liked my work. So I saw this Facebook post where it was this tour company who were looking for someone to come and take photos and a bit of video that they could use in their advertising for their Egypt trip. And then in return, you get a full luxury trip to Egypt, flights paid for, everything. And I thought, I'm never going to get this. I mean, there's going to be thousands of people applying to this. I'm never going to get it. But I might as well apply, because you've got nothing to lose when you apply. And I'm so glad I did, because they chose me. And next thing I know, I'm riding on a hot air balloon and riding dirt bikes through the desert in Egypt, you know? It was the most incredible experience. So yeah, the moral of that story is always, always, always apply. Apply to everything. Apply to photo competitions. Apply to jobs. Apply to meetings with people, you know? You can just anything you're interested in, apply to it. Send them a message. Ask them to meet for coffee. You never know who's going to say yes, you know, and it takes a lot of rejection. I'm going to say that now. I still get rejected a lot. I send off, 10 proposals to companies and maybe one of them will say yes. But it's that one when that company says yes, it's the best feeling. It's great. So yeah, don't be afraid of rejection. It sucks, but don't be afraid of it. Because when you push and you keep going, that's when you become successful. So another thing I love about lifestyle advertising is how creative it is. So if I have this idea that, I want to go and do this crazy thing on a glacier, that might cost me a lot of money. I'd have to hire a model, hire a makeup artist, get to the glacier, hire the glacier guide, get all the right equipment, that might be quite expensive. But if I propose that to, say, a snacks company or a fashion brand and say, hey, I've got this idea for a shoot, would you be up for that? Not only do they pay for everything, but they also pay you to do it. So that's a life hack. But yeah, it just means that when you're working with lifestyle advertising, you're working with these bigger budgets. So it means that they can, you can live out your wildest dreams and create these crazy shoots because they're paying for it and you don't have to fork out of it from your own money. And also another thing I love is helping businesses and the economy grow. So I've met so many people who have quit their boring jobs they didn't like, and they've started a company where they're a fashion designer, or they've started a company importing amazing spices from the Middle East to Iceland, and they're living out that dream. They're doing it. And I get to help them do it. They told me this spices company, they told me that after they started working with me, their sales went up. And that's the best feeling, to know that I've helped them. And yeah, I love that so much. It also means that you can work with companies in areas that you're passionate about. So say you're passionate about travel, go work with some travel companies. If you're passionate about cars, you can work with Mercedes. If you're passionate about sports, you can work with some sports brands. You never know, in a few years, you might be photographing your absolute footballer hero, If you're into music photography, just start shooting band promo photos and, you might be able to shoot album covers or advertisements using those musicians. And next thing you know, you're just sitting there with Lady Gaga, It just means that photography just opens up all of these doors. And it's just such an incredible, incredible life. And I mean, you can just see your work in all these really cool places as well, like billboards and No Dream is Too Big, Times Square. I had my first billboard recently. It was a giant pizza. I never thought my first billboard would be a pizza, but here we are. And then, sometimes you can open up your inbox and you've got a newsletter from Jotbox that has your photo in it. And it's the most exhilarating moment. This was a picture that they commissioned me to take in Iceland. And then next thing I know, it's in their email going off to thousands of people across the world. So yeah, it is a wonderful career. It is so amazing. And I really, really hope that you guys are feeling inspired, because if I can do it, you can do it. I started off just by taking random pictures around the place and learning, and now here I am, and I am living proof that you can do this as a living. I just do photography and photography related things. That's all I do. I don't have to struggle. I earn a living off this. I have a lovely apartment in downtown Reykjavik. I can do this, and you can too, not only in photography, but in any other creative industry that you want. Because I think there's this myth that it's an unsafe career or it's a scary choice. It is a lot of hard work, but you can do it. It is totally possible. Someone's out there taking those photos for advertising. Somebody's out there doing the graphic design or doing the fashion design. So why not you? Why not you? You can absolutely do it. I've got friends that were in university with me that are now also doing amazing things. You know, one of them is designing fashion pieces for huge companies in London. Another one studied illustration and she is now doing magazine covers. And another one, he studied visual communications and now he does the visuals that are projected when Billie Eilish is on stage. He works with Billie Eilish now. You know, it's just like, you can do the most incredible things, honestly, in these creative careers. And by seeing your work today, you guys are all so talented. And I really think that you guys are going places. So even if it's not photography, if it's another medium, just know that you can do it. You can do it. Honestly, you guys have done so well. And I really, really hope that you have enjoyed the workshop. And yeah, oh yeah, thank you. So yeah, I really, really hope that you guys have enjoyed the workshop. I have enjoyed it so much. Seeing your work has just pumped me up so much. So I hope that you are really excited to go out and create more and just learn more. And yeah, thank you so much, guys. I'm going to pass it over to Annabelle for a second, and then we're going to open it up for a questions thing. So if you've got any questions, just pop them in the chat box. And yeah, thank you so much, guys.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Kat. I think everyone thoroughly enjoyed it, and we already have a lot of questions through, so I will go on to them in a second. So I'm just gonna close the session for some of you that might have to go, but otherwise, like I said, we'll go on to the questions. So I just want to remind you that we have a wide range of workshops across the summer school, and you'll be able to access these through taking part in live or re-question. Sorry, there's a typo in there, but of basically looking at some of our recordings. So these cover a huge range of practices such as designing zines, thinking like a user experience and exploring your identity and much more. So all our workshops are designed to give you an insight into a lot of different areas that your creativity could take you, and suggest actually like the many jobs that exist in all these different fields like Kat has done today. So if you haven't already, you can book your place on our website, and we'll also send you a link in the chat. So we are also offering you the opportunity to receive an NUA official certificate. And this is particularly great to talk about in your UCAS personal statement, which you might be putting together at some point. So to get hold of one of these certificates, you'll need to attend 6 of the 12 workshops, and we would like to see your outcomes from at least 3 of these workshops. So please be aware that any work you submit might be used in future promotional information for this series. You can send these 3 outcomes to us by email, and that is student.recruitment@nua.ac.uk. And this is all going to be put in the chat box, so don't worry about trying to write that down. And please title your email with the workshop title. The Padlet submissions today don't form part of the submissions tally, so please do email them to us through that email address. So these outcomes can be something you've made as part of the workshop or something you've made afterwards in response to the workshop. We also would really love to see what you're making throughout the summer school series, so do tag us in any of your photos of your workshop outcomes on Instagram, and our handles are @NUA Outreach and @takeyourplace_HE, and we'll be showing some of our favourite pieces throughout the series, so please do get involved. Each week, we'll also be giving away a fancy NUA branded chili bottle. So all you have to do to be in chance of winning this is to complete the feedback form we'll be sending you by email at the end of each week. So there's lots of chances to win, so that's great. But effectively, this is the end of today's session, but we will now go through some of the questions that you've sent to us for Kat. But to close, thank you, Kat, for running this workshop today, and thank you everyone for joining us. So we hope to see you again soon. So if you just give me 1 second, I'm just going to bring up the questions. Now, there are quite a few, Kat, so what we'll do is we'll get through as many as we can. So firstly, is there something that you like to specialize in photography the most? So
for me,
yeah.
Um, I I love a lot of different things, but for me, I love anything with a kind of fashion commercial element. So, for instance, photographing for Zara or photographing for things like that. So, Adidas is one of my big dreams, um, and then some dress companies and stuff like that. So that would be the dream, yeah, and jewelry companies as well.
Thank you. These are a couple of questions about Norwich, actually. So I imagine some people might be aware of our university in Norwich, but we've asked, do you find Norwich a very photogenic place? And also, what is your favourite thing to photograph in Norwich? So this was taking you back a bit, but
I loved Norwich so much. Oh, it was such a photogenic place. It was so photogenic. So not only I had such a good time there, like I was there for 3 years and I never ran out of stuff to photograph. Um, so yeah, just around the town is beautiful. And there's also, I can't remember the name of them now, but there's like all these little gardens. There's one that's like really near the city center, which is just like I think it's called the Plantation Gardens or something.
yes, that is
Yeah.
like plantation.
Oh, that was beautiful. Just see like really curated gardens. And there's also the surrounding nature as well. So, you can go out into the Norfolk Broads, onto the beach at Cromer. All these different places are so close. So, yeah, Norwich was a really photogenic place.
Thank you. So this is a couple of questions about cameras. So the first one is, what is the camera you use the most? And going on from that, do you prefer using digital cameras or film cameras? So that's quite interesting.
Ooh, interesting question. Cool. Okay, so I want to start off by saying that I am not a tech person, and I always thought that was a terrible thing. But then I heard Annie Leibovitz, who's like the best fashion photographer in the world, say I'm not a tech person, and that calmed me down a bit. But I think it's less important about the equipment that you're using as what you do with it. So of course it's important to know how to use your camera. It's super important to know how to use your camera. But if you don't have the best camera in the world, don't let that stop you. So I have had a range of different cameras. I'm not one of those people who's just on one brand only. Currently I'm on Canon because they released the Canon R5 and I fell in love with it. So yeah, so I use the Canon R5, but I also have a Fujifilm and I've used Nikon as well and Sony, and yeah, and I always use digital. I have not used film too much. When I was in Norwich, we did film for the first term, and we did use a lot of analog there. So I have my dad's Olympus OM1 from the 60s, so I do use that sometimes, but I always use digital when I'm on commercial jobs. But I do have other friends who do all of their commercial jobs on film.
Lovely, thank you. So this is a question regarding being freelance. So they've asked, how do you deal with finances while being a freelance photographer? It sounds like you don't need another job, so you've got a good balance. So can you tell us a bit about that?
Yes. So okay, first thing I did was got an accountant. That is the first thing I did, because I think it's really important to recognize what you're interested in and what you're not interested in. What I'm not interested in is doing my taxes. So I'd rather spend more time pitching to clients and creating for clients and then use the money I earn from that to pay an accountant. Especially when you live in a different country, it can be really scary doing your taxes. So my accountant, I fully trust him, and he just sorts out a lot for me, so I don't have to think about that side of things. But then in terms of managing finances, I keep a career journal. And so I keep a list of all the jobs that I've done that month and everything I've earned that month, everything I've spent that month on camera equipment, things like that. So, when you're just kind of on top of it, yeah. And then I also hired a business coach as well to help me with how to price my work when I got to Iceland, because it's a very different pricing system than England. So, yeah, so hiring a business coach helped me so much, because it helped me know how much I should be charging for things. And also talking to other photographers as well. Talking to other photographers and saying, hey, I just got asked to do this job. How much would you charge for that? Because then it takes the personal thing out of it as well, of like, ooh, can I really charge that much? Am I worth that much? It takes that out of it when other photographers would charge that. So yeah.
Lovely, thank you. And I suppose going on from that, some people have asked, like, how would you recommend we start off with approaching brands? So like, how do you find these opportunities they've put? So I assume that's like with your freelance, how do you go about that?
I think I could teach this for another like 3 hours. But I love pitching so much, and I actually like teach my friends how to pitch. But so there's so many different things. But what I do when I'm emailing a brand, so I will just email them out of the blue. I've never talked to them before. And what I'll do is I'll send them a really nice personal email that is so important to make it personal. You can have like a body of the email that you copy and paste, but make sure you say something like, hey, I would love to work with your company because I think this energy drink is awesome. And I love that it's from Iceland, and, you know, stuff really personal about their brands. They know they're not just one of 20 that you're emailing. And then another thing is that I send them a PDF in the email with examples of my work that are similar to what I want to create for them. So if I want to work for a chocolate bar company, I'll send them loads of pictures of snacks that I've taken and be like, I could create something similar for you. And then I'll also link my website in the email. And then also you can use things like LinkedIn, because when you're emailing a company, a big company, you might not reach the right person if you just email like info@Gucci. You know, so if you can go onto LinkedIn, you can kind of find out who's working in the marketing department or who's working in the brand managing department, and try and email them. And sometimes even, you know, how I got a really big job of mine was that I actually just messaged someone on LinkedIn about it, and then I got the job, you know. And then also networking is so important, so important. So you can go to like online networking events. You can hopefully, when the times are better, go to like networking events in person. I'm part of like a women in business networking group, and that gives me a lot of my jobs, where I just, you know, talk to them and I'm like, oh, you have this company where you brew beer. I'm a photographer if you ever need a photographer, you know. So that's how I got a lot of my clients. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Really useful information. Thank you. So someone has said you have obviously visited so many beautiful places, but they said but some look maybe a bit dangerous. So I assume there's some, like, you know, when you're in front of the volcano. So have you faced any problems at times when you're photographing, maybe in these quite dangerous locations potentially?
So, well, I'd say again that I've always been very careful at the volcano. I always go, because there's a search and rescue team there, so I stay behind them. But yeah, when I've been like solo traveling in Asia, and the Egypt trip was with a group, so it was very much sheltered, and you had a local guide with you. So I would recommend local guides for when you're going to more kind of dangerous places, and also just keeping your wits about you. You know, not walking by yourself at night and that kind of thing. Yeah, and then in terms of like actually photographing, I have had times where I was taking pictures at a market in China, and, you know, you're not really meant to take photos there. So I was just kind of sneaky about it, not looking through the camera, but just kind of clicking on the side like that, just holding it and kind of clicking. So yeah, things like that. But just being very aware of your surroundings, and just being, just not being by yourself at night in a dark alleyway. But, you know, I think it is a scary world out there, and a lot of people are discouraged to go to places, especially by yourself. But in my experience, you know, I traveled for 2 months around Asia by myself with nobody else with me, and no bad experiences. You know, in general, people are lovely, but you do need to just watch out sometimes, and just,
Lovely, thank you. And then I think we'll just finish off with this question, although we have kind of touched on it. They've asked if you have an Instagram to check out your work, so I know that you do. So maybe if you could share your final slide again, then it's just got the info there. But they've also asked, do you have any pictures of your, like when you're in Norway, when you were taking pictures of the Northern Lights? Is that on your Instagram or your website?
It is not. It's on my website. I have a whole section dedicated to the Aurora on my website. Yeah.
Okay, great. So for that student, check out the website then, because I know I've seen them
for the Aurora pictures. Yeah,
that's lovely. That's great. So that on that note, I think we'll finish the session. If there have been any questions that you think of you are more than welcome to email us at studentrecruitment@nua.ac.uk, and we can forward them on to Kat if there's like a really particular question that you wish you asked. But as we can see from the chat, we've just got so many thank yous. So thank you for your time today, Kat, and thank you everyone for joining. It's been great to see the work that you've produced.
Thank you so much.
It's so lovely. So yeah, you could just see all the thank yous and goodbyes.
Oh, that's so nice. Guys, I've enjoyed it so much. You have been amazing. You've been amazing, honestly. Seriously, I'm so impressed. So, so impressed. Ah, thanks everyone.
Oh, everyone's
Nice to
you're
see
amazing. It's great to always get that good feedback.
you.
Lovely. So thank you. So on that note, Tom in the background, I think we'll end the session there. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so